Welcome, witches, wizards, and muggles alike, to another enchanting episode of Magical Tales from the Slytherin Common Room, bringing your favorite Harry Potter fanfiction to audio format. So sit back, relax, and Accio headphones, and let the magic begin. Apostasy by Deydralinne, Chapter 10, Start at the Beginning. Voldemort stood and made his way to the window Hermione looked out of earlier, staring into the gardens below, trying to find his answer. Draco, take your aunt and uncle away. I would like to discuss these matters in private. Draco glanced between the two witches briefly before bowing his head. Of course, my lord. Voldemort waited until they had vacated the room before silencing it and turning to face them again. Start at the beginning. Ginny tutted at him. Typical man, always in such a rush. You could do with some furniture in here, Baldy. It's hardly suitable for entertainment, Hermione drawled. If I didn't think it would backfire, I would kill you for your disrespect. Hermione smiled sweetly at him. You would be correct, and as long as you wear that face, that is what I will call you. Voldemort's eyes narrowed on her in fascination. I do not have furniture because I do not like to entertain, and I don't know what you mean. This is my only face. Ginny glared at him. Liar, she snapped venomously. Voldemort turned to her in surprise. What's the matter, Tom? Don't remember me? The fragments of your soul still speak to each other? Search deep, Ginny growled. Voldemort stared at her, his eyes rarely blinking in a vacant way. Part of him processing the shock of hearing his given name, and part of him was lost deep in the pits of his memories, seeking answers he supposedly already had. There was something about this painting that kept drawing Hermione back to it. It was just a simple painting, but there was something out of place. Part of her felt like she should be looking away from it, like she should ignore it, but whatever it was right there. She glanced over at Ginny, who was staring up at Voldemort from her place on the dining chair. There, that was it right there. In the corner of her eye, she saw the painting change. One of the men in the battle, who looked as though he could have been a Riddle ancestor, no longer held the common sword he held just a moment ago. In his hand was a painted version of the sword of Gryffindor. It was stained, though. The ruby at the hilt wasn't pure. Deep within it was a small green glow. Hermione smiled to herself. He found a way to corrupt it after all, even if only in painting form. Ginny Weasley, you're all grown up now, Voldemort finally stated with recognition. Miss me? Ginny grinned. I recall mostly annoying childish whining about Harry Potter. Ginny made a disgusted sound and pulled what appeared to be a small smile from Voldemort. But I suppose a few fleeting moments we shared of actual friendship could warrant what you call vague appreciation. Ginny's hand came to rest on her chest. Now, don't get too sentimental. You'll make me cry, Ginny smirked. For him, that's as close as you will get to a welcome home, old friend, as you're going to get, Hermione smiled. You think you know me, do you, Mud? Hermione waved a finger at him. There will be no more of that. Miss Granger will be the only thing you refer to me as until such time as you no longer despise me, which is when you may call me Hermione. I would work on that one quickly, though, if I were you. I am going to change your life after all. But in answer to your question, I do, yes. In fact, I see you. She punctuated the last of her words, taking a step closer to the painting. His eyes narrowed. That's not possible. Hermione hummed. You know, Voldy, I have spent many years of my life afraid of you. Hating you, running from you, but then I spent the last year or two thinking of all the ways in which you and I are so much alike. She turned back to the painting and saw once more that the sword of Gryffindor had disappeared. She smiled and moved to stand behind Ginny. You obviously had magical blood from your mother, but you were raised in the Muggle world. You came into this world knowing nothing of their ways, distrusted from the start and scrambling to play catch up. Voldemort stood there glaring at her. It's a unique experience, isn't it, to have to fight for your place in a world that is rightfully yours? Because that's the thing, Voldy. This world is rightfully mine. I belong here and have exhausted my patience pretending to not be as powerful as I am. The truth of the matter is that magical blood is superior, but it doesn't come down to purebloods. It comes down to all those able to pick up a wand and end a life with two little words. To bend people to your will, to change the very makeup of an object, to summon something from nothing, all of those who hold the power to do so are superior. It is the Muggles without magic that we are above. Voldemort waved his wand, and the dining chair he had been sitting on earlier transformed into a winged-backed armchair. He gave her a pointed look before the chair beneath Ginny began shifting into a love seat. I have no reason to trust you. Rude, considering I would argue that I am your oldest friend, Ginny retorted. I have, after all, known you since you were 16. Be that as it may, Ginny Weasley, you have fought against me. There's a connecting road off Stepping Stone Lane and Kingsmill Lane just outside of Painswick. If you follow it right to the end, you reach a dead end in the order base that Ginny and I were living in the past few years. Hermione drawled, flopping down on the love seat in impatience. Voldemort seemed at a loss for words. I have no reason to trust you, he repeated again. Yes, so you said. We have no reason to trust you either, so let's just agree right now, between the three of us, never lie to each other, yes? This is not your typical run-of-the-mill follower sign-up. We don't want what you're selling, Ginny retorted. Then what do you want? Voldemort's patience was wearing thin, but he gave a short nod all the same. To rule the world, Hermione stated. And how do you propose that, Miss Granger? I plan to woo the world's magical ministries naturally, to abolish the statute of secrecy bills around the world, starting with England. Given you're controlling the Ministry of Magic, I could skip straight to the Muggle government here. They are desperate to put an end to the wartime living and will sign whatever I put in front of them at this point. Ginny and I have the distinct advantage of having been poster children for the Order for so many years that we offer a different level of merit than your typical sign this or die Death Eater types. Voldemort thought for a moment. Not everyone is going to agree with that. It's strategy, Tom. Ginny sighed. You get enough people on your side and the rest will either fold from intimidation or by force. Regardless, we're done fucking around. What about Harry Potter? Voldemort asked. What about him? Ginny asked, confused. He is an obstacle. Actually, he's not. Lily sacrificed herself to save his life. Thus, a protection was placed over him until he was of age. He couldn't be killed by you during that time. He came of age, the spell was broken, and then you killed the piece of your soul living within him, which was the only other aspect keeping him alive. Now, without Lily's magic and your soul to safeguard him, he's just a regular dipshit. He no longer holds sway over your life. Thus, the prophecy is complete, Hermione explained. Honestly, how no one else had figured out that Harry had lost all importance at that moment in the Battle of Hogwarts was beyond her. He had one chance to end it all, and he had failed because he hadn't destroyed all the Horcruxes. And in any case, the Order is not prepared or connected enough to stop this plan from moving forward. Am I to assume that the Order does not approve of your plan? The Order doesn't approve of any of my plans. I believe the words they have used have been liability, mentally unstable, dangerous, egotistical. Don't forget the time that Kingsley said you were worse than the devil himself, and that I was no more than your little henchman, Ginny interjected. Hermione pondered that for a moment. Oh yeah, that's right. I had forgotten about that. Hermione smiled. In any case, the Order and I do not share the same belief system. The Order believes that knowledge is power. They believe that they can defeat you with the power of friendship. Ginny has some top-tier torture skills that she isn't allowed to use. I have experiments that could revolutionize war that I'm not allowed to create. We're both chastised anytime we kill someone. It was getting very annoying, actually. And what is it that you believe, Miss Granger? That power is power. The Muggle population has guns, armies, and tanks. Their population outnumbers us fivefold, and yet we are still stronger. We are still capable of ruling dominance over them. I have a brilliant mind, Voldy. Given the resources and freedom to do with it, I believe I can come up with some truly spectacular things. While I don't believe in the knowledge is power crap, I do understand that knowledge is key, but I need connections to start this and muscle behind me to back us up. Which is where I come in. Clever boy. I don't like to share, Miss Granger. You misunderstand us. We don't want the responsibility of world domination. We are happy to help you achieve it. Then we are free to reap the rewards as some of your top-ranked generals while you are the one in charge. We like fighting, something you cannot do if you're the one in charge. We get to have control over armies and create whatever insane experiment she comes up with next. Freedom to do as we please. While you're king of the entire world, changing magical history forever. I believe it's what they call a win-win, Ginny explained. We will need to fix that face of yours, obviously, Hermione rolled her eyes. Pettigrew royally fucked it up. No matter, I have an idea for how to. What do you mean? Oh, come on, Voldy. We all know how charming you can be, even more so when your appearance is that of a human, not some gray skeletal man creature. If you're going to rule the world, you'll want to do it with your proper face. Voldemort leaned back in his chair, his fist covered his mouth, his eyes darted between them. You two aren't afraid of me, are you? Ginny snorted. No, we're not. Which you should consider a good thing in our roles. You have enough yes men. You need someone in your corner who isn't on a leash to tell you what's a good idea and what isn't. This way, you know that when we say yes, it's because we mean it, not because we're stroking your ego. Miss Granger has an unfair advantage over this situation. For the sake of building a relationship based on good faith, I would like to know how you did it. With a piece of you in a mirror, Hermione answered honestly but vaguely. Voldemort seemed to understand that's all she was willing to give up and hummed in his chair. If I am to provide my services to you, I am going to need some security measures. Naturally. Fine, Ginny waved dismissively. We are going to need some assurances of our own. An unbreakable vow that you won't make any attempts on our life or have anyone else make an attempt on our life. That you won't strip us of power upon achieving our goal, and that you will do everything within your power to aid our plans. Voldemort hissed in disapproval. If that is a game you want to play, girlie, let's make it double, shall we? You will swear not to make any attempts on my life or my remaining Horcruxes. You will not return to the Order to pass along any information, and if you are successful, you will not make any attempts to overthrow me and steal power for yourselves. Deal, Hermione and Ginny said simultaneously. Well, then let's begin negotiations, Voldemort drawled. Draco stood there, staring at Tom's spirits. Any questions? Hermione asked sarcastically. What was the fuzzy bit? Hermione frowned. Fuzzy bit? Draco frowned at her. Something happened after Ginny said, remember me, blah, 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 and then he remembered her. Hermione smiled. Oh, good. I was worried I would have to obliviate that part. I'm afraid that is confidential to your master. You and Ginny are really all in. Yes, and as per our agreement, you no longer get to say shit about it. Where did my spirit thing go? I really am very interested in those fantasies you mentioned. Malfoy. Yes, Granger. Get the fuck out.